Thank you, Sujin, and hi, everybody. My name is Alejandra Acosta. I'm Senior Policy and Research Analyst at California Competes, and I'm pleased to be moderating our panel today. Sujin, thank you so much for setting us up with such helpful information about who student parents are and what challenges they're facing at a policy or more systemic level. Clearly, parenting while also being a student is a women's issue, and the equity issue also goes beyond gender to students who are low income or students of color. So I'm glad that we were able to share more about student parents with you all. So the data and the recommendations are one thing. They give us a big, broad picture of the issue and ideas for how to make higher ed more accessible and supportive for student parents. But it's just as important to hear about what this experience is like on the ground. And this particular student experience has a lot of nuance and a lot of details that really unfortunately make higher education much more difficult for student parents. And at the same time, we hear really wonderful stories of student parents who work very hard to make their lives better and the lives of their children better. So with that, I'm happy to, as Sujin said, have several great panelists here with us today to give us a good perspective on what life is like for student parents. So I will now introduce each of our panelists. First, we have Shay Allen. Shay is a CalWORKS parenting student at Allen Hancock College and a CalWORKS Association Spark student leader. The Spark program is a 2-year project that puts CalWORKS students at the center of reimagining both the community college and welfare systems. Shay has one 13-year-old daughter, and she's currently studying to be an elementary school teacher. Shay, not the daughter, but Shay is going to school to be an elementary school teacher, and she graduates this May. So round of applause for Shay. We're so excited for you to get to the finish line. Super exciting for you. And Shay plans to transfer to CSU Channel Islands or to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo this coming fall. So I hope that comes true for you. We also have, excuse me, Erin Edwards, the director of the CalWORKS parenting program at Glendale Community College and president of the California Community Colleges CalWORKS Association with us here today. The CalWORKS Association supports parenting students who are changing their own lives and the lives of their children at the same time, and is working to create a California where families can find social and economic justice through education. I've also learned that Erin is an obsessive crocheter, roaster of beets, and maker of homemade horchata. I think that's very cool. And finally, we have Marnie Roosevelt, who's the founder and director of the Family Resource Center in LA Valley College. Marnie founded the Family Resource Center to create a family-friendly campus to support student parents. And the Family Resource Center has now grown and responds to the needs of student parents, workforce families, and community members. Under Marnie's leadership, the Family Resource Center, which is the only one that's actually on a community college campus in California, the Family Resource Center has become a national model for replication, and it's won multiple state and national awards. So as y'all can see, we have a really wonderful group of people here who can tell us about the student parent experience directly and from a higher level, both at the college and at the system level. So I'm really excited for us to hear from all of our panelists today. I'd like to start with you, Shay. Just lay the groundwork for us. Can you tell us a bit about what a day in your life looks like as a parenting student or a student parent?
Hi, everyone. A day in the life of a parenting student. First is sending my daughter off to school, making sure she has the things that she needs. Then I prepare my day, making sure my college experience goes well. And it's also a balance. When the pandemic hit, I had to basically turn part of my kitchen into an office, and get things balanced out. And so that was also good because she sees me transitioning into where I want to further my life to. And so she's an 8th grader. And so it makes her focus more on her studies, and education is cool. Mom is getting her education and she's furthering her life. And I hold many hats on my campus. I am the secretary of the Alpha Gamma Sigma on campus. I just became a permanent member. I'm also the director of student advocacy on campus. I'm on the board. And so the ASBG, Association Student Body Government. So we had a great hot dog event today on campus, and I was excited to go around campus and let everybody know, hey, come join the student body government. I'm also a student representative on the Student Service Council. So I try to make sure I'm involved on campus and doing things and to stay active as a parent. I'm also a part of many programs that my daughter can attend and that she can come to campus and, see. I take her around campus and show her different parts, and it's very parent friendly. She enjoys it. They embrace her. It's also, balancing at home when she comes home, making sure I show her undivided attention on her studies as well as doing my own homework and, doing things to keep balance in the house. As a student parent, sometimes it can get very hard, especially during the pandemic. I've always had great support around me. I am a first generation college student, so my family is proud that, hey, she's taking it to the next level. And, life was a struggle, before I started really focusing on school in the summer of 2019. I had been to 2 other colleges and, I wasn't as successful because it was just juggling. My daughter was young and trying to find babysitters and trying to make sure I had enough money to provide. So, it was one class at a time, but still it was unsuccessful. But as I got older and balanced and, I moved to California. I'm from Texas, and I moved to California to just better my life. I came here with nothing, we started over and, and now I have my own place and been able to balance life through CalWorks. It's definitely been a help. I encourage CalWorks to the fullest. Get inside the programs, navigate the programs. I'm on food stamps and different things like that to help me further my life. I'm not embarrassed of anything. I make sure I represent it to the fullest because if you navigate these programs successfully, they will definitely benefit you. I'm forever grateful for CalWorks and forever will be grateful. And so when I transfer to a CSU, I will advocate for these programs because they need to be on these campuses. They need to be represented. And I did get accepted into Channel Islands. I did, but my hope is to go to Cal Poly. So, I have one under my belt already. And I plan on just, making it to an elementary teacher and implement programs in these classrooms that will help students, not only better their mind, but their body and soul, and help them understand that, you can do it no matter what type of family background you come from, no matter what type of things you may face in life. I lost my daughter's father when she was very young. So it's just been us, but like I said, CalWorks is amazing. I love it. I will forever represent for it. But, a day in the life of me and her is just a balance. She's like my best friend. We do things together, go on campus, attend events, attend basketball games, they know us on campus, so I'm proud of where I'm from, what I'm doing, and what I represent. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Shay. And I just got to say, when I grow up, I want to be like you, Shay. So thank you for sharing all of that. That definitely paints a really great picture of all of the things that you have to handle as a student parent. And it seems like you are thriving and that your daughter is really benefiting from all the work that you're doing. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I want to turn it now to either Erin or Marnie. Either of you can go, but I'd like to hear from your perspective. What does a day in your work with a student parent look like? Marnie, I see that you're unmuted, so please go ahead.
Well, Shay, thank you so much for setting up the scene because really, when I started the Family Resource Center almost 20 years ago, it was to respond to students like Shay who were amazingly motivated and had obstacles beyond childcare in front of them. And I just got people together thinking that they would be able to support each other. And I think that's become a really important part of our program. I can tell you what our program looked like before COVID, and it looks very different now, obviously. Before COVID, people were in and out. They would pick their kids up at childcare. They would come in and study. We had child development interns or nursing students who played with the kids while the parents could study, make themselves and their kids something to eat. get free baby clothes, pick up diapers, check out textbooks, meet with a tutor or an academic counselor. And we actually now have a social worker. All of that changed. And what you were saying before, what Sue Jim was saying before about students wanting to do things virtually, I think that's changed a lot for us. So we do a lot more virtually. So a day in the Family Resource Center means that we have some people coming in, but we have a lot of activities online. One of the things that's become incredibly important is what we call a parent cafe, and students get together a couple times a week, sort of just a drop-in online, virtually. They could be cooking dinner, they could be doing whatever they need to do. Kids are in and out. And really the group has become such an amazing support to each other. And through that, because our family therapist and social worker run that, they learn a lot of the sort of what I want to call second layer needs of our students so that they can address them. And things that students don't know to ask for, that they can get help with. They deal with big problems, domestic violence, homelessness, but they also deal with little things like, I'm trying to study and my closet is 1,000,000 degrees. We can do things thanks to some of our private funders that allow us to buy a fan or an air conditioner for a closet that then becomes a tolerable space. So it's different every day. Our staff is wonderful. They're very inviting. People come in for little things and then they stay for the big things. And we know it works. We are just finishing up a project with the Institute for Women's Policy Research and ECMC, which ECMC funded, a local LA group. Maybe they're not local, I'm not sure. And we found that of the student parents who are enrolled at Valley College, those who use the Family Resource Center services have a 10% higher success rate. It's what we expect. And it's great. So we're thrilled to be able to offer that service and constantly inspired by our students whose stories are, similar to Shay's.
Great, thank you so much, Marnie. And what about you, Erin? What does a day in your work with student parents look like?
Well, Shay talked a lot about balancing, and a day in my life is a constant balancing act between acknowledging our students' exhaustion and collaborating with them to envision their future. The student parents, or at Glendale, we call them instead of parenting students, we say studenting parents. So the studenting parents we're working with now are more tired and stressed than I've ever seen them in my 13 years in the CalWorks world. If any of us thinks about a time in the past when we were very, very stressed out and burned out, try to imagine whether you were able to plan at that time for your future. It's a very hard thing to do, but persisting in college requires students to connect with why they're in college, which for our students is for their future and for their children's future. My work and the work of a lot of the people who serve studenting parents is all about helping our students take emotional care of themselves, but also keeping them connected with their own vision for their families and for their children so that they can stay in school, graduate, and transfer. So it's a real constant balancing act between, I know this is what's happening now, we're here for you, let's help you take care of yourself and your kids, but also don't let go, don't give up, enroll one more semester, because we want to see you on stage with your cap and your graduation gown, and you're going to look out into the audience in the bleachers, and your children are going to be there watching you graduate. And they're going to grow up and say, Shay's daughter is going to say this, my mom went to college, and so I'm going to go to college. My dad went to college, and so I'm going to go to college. So that's what a day in my life looks like.
Thank you, Erin. That image gave me a little bit of goosebumps. I think it's such a special moment for anybody, but especially if you have kids in your life. So thank you so much for sharing that. I want to hone in a little bit more specifically on what some of the challenges are for student parents, parenting students, studenting parents. So it's going to be a little bit of a hard question, but if you could pick one, what would you say is the greatest challenge for you, Shay, as a student parent, or Marnie and Erin, what is the greatest challenge that you've seen with the students that you work with? Shay, could we start with you again?
Yes, I would say one of the greatest challenges is balance. You know, my schedule, having to make sure I can attend her games and showing up in her life, you know, just as much as I show up in my own life. So just making sure I'm active.
Great, thank you. Go for it.
I think it's mental health now. I think that's the greatest challenge. It was always an issue. It was always tough for our students. You know, the barriers that they deal with are just, it's bigger than logistics, and it's bigger than finding a time to study. And before COVID, I think people they were almost there, you know, they could almost figure it out. And with a little bit of help, they could figure it out. But I think COVID, I mean, how we all feel is exaggerated by a million times for our students who are dealing with all of the same emotional issues, but they're also dealing with rent and their jobs get cut. You know, I just heard Starbucks are closing for days. What happens with everybody's who works there? What happens to the staff? So those kinds of issues, yeah, we dealt with mental health issues before, but now we have never dealt with so many and really serious ones. And their children. Parents are really worried about their kids. I think it's better now that they're in school, but they're all just, you know, they're holding their breath that school won't get canceled or that their kids don't get exposed. So it's a tough time now. It's tougher than it's been.
Yeah, I completely agree with Shay and Marnie. Those are big things. I'll throw in one very specific thing, which is that we all know how important reliable, high quality childcare is, but there's no childcare without transportation. Yeah. And so many parenting students struggle with transportation. Maybe they have a car, maybe it's not reliable. CalWORKs has all these crazy rules about transportation they won't pay for and they will pay for. And so as we talk about parenting students, we need to remember transportation also.
Great, thank you all. Could any or all of you speak to affordability challenges for student parents? So for example, you know, childcare is very expensive. How does that limit, you know, whether you're able to buy textbooks or just other things that are related to college, because college, the reality is very expensive. So could you speak to some of the affordability challenges for student parents?
I started with one class and it was before I got into the CalWORKs program because that's all I could afford. But once I got on campus, I made sure I got involved in different programs who were able to pay for my books. You know, CalWORKs paid for books as well, but I wasn't on the program. But I was encouraged by one of the professors. He knew about different CalWORKs programs and he told me to go down, and I applied, and you know, they started to pay for things, you know, pay for transportation, bus passes, different things like that. And I think CalWORKs is amazing.
Yeah, so affordability, of course. And the college, you know, the college has a lot of rules. Programs have a lot of rules. We're lucky that we have a lot of foundation funding so we can help students with things that they're not able to get from the college. But yeah, things like transportation. I'm really glad you mentioned that, Erin, because it's huge. It's a really hard thing for students. And it's all those things that we kind of don't think about, like what happens when your kid gets sick and can't go to school and you have class that you can't miss. So maybe you have a neighbor who can watch that kid, but who's going to pay the neighbor? So it's things like that we need to learn about so that we can address it if it's possible. It's things that we don't think about. School supplies for kids, I guess we can supply those, but how does a parent do that? Nursing students, we have an incredible nursing program at Valley College, but there are certain fees that are outside of the regular fees. So we've been learning and able to help our students with that, but it's not common that there's a lot of foundation funding that can be used creatively for students.
I think I prematurely answered the affordability question with my transportation comment. Maybe one thing that's not affordability related that I see as a giant barrier for parenting students is feeling othered on campus. Mm-hmm. A parenting student walks on campus and they're not, but they feel like they're the only parent there. And part of it is because representation matters, and we so infrequently represent parenting students in higher education. Some of the things that the CalWorks Association I think of the word, thinks should be done, is every college should have a Bring Your Kids to College Day. Every campus needs a parenting student club. On every campus's website, right where you say, okay, this is the website for veterans, this is the website for our Pride students, there should be a parenting student website on your college website. We have a great one at Glendale Community College. And anytime you list a special population at your college, we think parenting students should be included.
Great, thank you, everyone. I think that kind of leads me into my next question. And I want to start with you, Shay, again. I want to learn a bit more about how you feel that what the challenges and opportunities that you face as a student parent, how does that affect your college experience? So think about how it's different compared to other students who do not have children. How do you feel that your experience as a student parent makes your college experience different?
The way it makes my college experience different is that, I'm more focused. I know that I have to make it to the finish line. Mm-hmm. I have to, get an education and provide and make a good amount of money so that, I won't have to make minimum wage. And when I go for job interviews, I can start at the top of the bracket. And it also, makes me look at people differently. People on campus differently, how I interact with them, how they interact with me, and what I say, how I say it, and how I am in class, how diligent I can be. Sometimes, I can tell when someone doesn't have children or a family to support just by the way they behave. Thank you.
Great, thank you. What about Erin or Marnie? How do you see the parenting student experience as different than those for those who do not have?
I think Erin actually, said it beautifully, and Shay, that I think feeling like the other and not knowing that the person sitting next to you in your math class has kids also and is not really listening to the teacher because they're worried about their kid who they dropped off to childcare with a little fever, or, is whatever they're worried about with their family. I think it's the other. And that was really what the impetus for why I started the Family Resource Center, was just to get parents together to share their challenges and what worked and to help them figure it out. And I think when the students feel supported, which is what before I was talking about our parent cafe, it's huge to be able to succeed. It's a huge help. Many of the students have said, if I didn't have this community to hold myself up to, that was going to really care if I finished my class and I did okay, it would be much harder for me to get up in the morning. So I totally agree with what both of them said.
Thank you. Erin?
Well, since Marty just agreed with me, I'll have to agree with her.
We're a good tag team.
And with everything Shay said, of course.
Great, thank you. Yeah, clearly there are patterns here and themes. And I think despite all three of you working or going to different institutions, the challenges and opportunities and room for improvement is very similar. So with that, I have one last question for you all. And again, it's going to be a question where you have to pick one thing. So I apologize for it being a little bit difficult, but tell me, what is one of the most helpful resources, policies or practices that either you have used, Shay, or that you have seen in your work for Marnie and Erin? So what is one of the most helpful things that you have seen? And then what is one thing that colleges can do to better help student parents? So a really good thing and one thing that can be better. And we'll start with Shay again.
A really good thing that I do for myself, I have a therapist. I've been going to her for 3 years. She definitely helps me, decipher things in my life, what's going on in my head, and keep a balance for me. And what I would like to promote more on my campus is awareness about therapy. It's okay to talk to someone.
Thank you, Shay. Marnie.
Well, I would just like to say, it's not exactly an answer to your question, sort of. When I started the Family Resource Center, it was on the fringes. We took a classroom, we set it up. It was on the fringes of what's happening in a college. And I think it's a different time now. And I think what I did then is almost not applicable. And I'm so pleased with this whole movement of the different groups addressing student parents, because it really has to be a part of a college's mission. It can't be based on me writing grants. It's not sustainable, and we have to figure out a way. And I think this is such an exciting time in terms of all the budget items that are happening in the legislature. We got supported by our assembly member, Adrian Nazarian. Dr. Androgenis, who's on this call, was instrumental in us getting a $800,000 carve out of Governor Brown's last budget. But it shouldn't be one-time wonderful gifts. We need to really be working on policy, and we need to make this movement sustainable. So that's what I have to say.
Well, through the CalWORKS Association's amazing Spark program, which was generously funded by Blue Shield of California Foundation, Shay and 50 other CalWORKS students across the state are studying and using human-centered design to reimagine and redesign both the public assistance system in California and the higher education systems so that it works for parenting students. They have created this amazing community of parenting students. So again, I think I'll say that creating community is something that's happening. That's a best practice that we can all do for our parenting students at every campus. Something that I think needs a lot more attention is Title IX. Mm-hmm. Title IX, we all know it, but we don't all know that it protects pregnant and parenting students. It gives pregnant and parenting students, not just women, men also, the full ability to make up any work and any test, anything in class that was missed due to parenting or pregnancy. The problem is that students don't know about it and faculty don't know about it. So it's on the books, but does it exist if nobody knows about it? We have done a lot of advocacy the last year around Title IX, and together with the Chancellor's Office, we sponsored a wonderful training that took place a couple of months ago. Western Center on Law and Poverty and one other organization, I can't remember right now, did a training through the Chancellor's Office on Title IX. The recording of it and some other information about Title IX is posted on our website, and I'll put the link in the chat. I think if everyone understood Title IX, it would change everything for parenting students. It really would. I know of a student last summer who had a baby August 4th. August 5th, from her hospital bed, she took her math final. And it's not unusual. Shay's going, oh yeah, because it happens all the time. So it's something I think we all need to focus on more.
Great. Thank you all. Thank you, Shay, Marnie, and Erin. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your perspective. I think combined with Sujin's presentation, we really learned a lot about what college is like for student parents. I think there has been some inspirational stories that we've shared, and we clearly see where there's room for improvement. So I hope that this serves as a jumping off point for us to do better work and do better truly by student parents. So thank you so much for all three of you for sharing your experience and your stories with us. It truly has made all of us better professionals and better people. So thank you for that.